Okay, so I need the clearance for the tap and the carburetor. What I'm going to have to do is make up a bracket so that the tank can sit here. So I've got the clearance here, so I'll make up a bracket for that now. So I've got a bit of a mock-up with the rear of the tank raised. I'm thinking that probably looks a little bit odd. What I might be doing is trying to raise the front of the tank like everybody else. I've got the tank resting on the wiring harness there, it won't go down any further, as well as the the fuel tap clearance between the top of the carburetor and the fuel tap. So that's a bit of a mock-up of the front of the tank raised and the rear connected. You can see there the fuel switch and the top of the carburetor there. There's not much room. So yeah, I think this is the way to go. And the fuel tank is still resting on the wiring harness. I do have the cover for the ignition switch, but the plastic cover is now resting right on the frame, the ignition switch framework there. Problem is, of course, the rear of the tank's down further, and you haven't got as much fuel because a lot of it that won't be picked up will be at the rear of the tank here. Okay, so what I've done is, with my bolt, I've put a nut as a spacer and then a washer. I've used a small zip tie to tie it down. That's the other side, same deal. Now this is only going to work if your tank's got something to rest on. You don't really want it resting on the wiring harness. This is I want to stress that this is only temporary until I find a better alternative. So I'll be giving it a cold start test once I get this back together, and that'll be in this video, and hopefully it'll fire up without any problems. Quite frankly, I'm running out of things to renew, so wouldn't surprise me if it might be close to being fixed now. So at this point in time, I'm going to put out the call for the fix being all work done. Unless there's an expert out there that can actually pinpoint what I've done to this bike to fix it. From what I can gather, just everything I've done recently has improved the bike's performance and ability to start. In the early days, I did a lot of work that really didn't disturb the problem. Could have been spark plugs, could have been carburetor being dirty, but I don't think so. It's hard to actually pinpoint what the cause of the problem was. This carburetor isn't held on, it's just pushed into a rubber seal onto the inlet manifold, which is interesting, but anyway, seems to work fine. These 3 bolts thread into the outlet of the carburetor. Something going on there. They seem to be cross-threaded. One won't go in yet. It's a cross thread, I think. Strange because it's sitting flat. Yeah, no, that's good. That's good, and that's a good one. I've been a professional driver in the CBD for 5.5 years, and one thing I've noticed is you never get aggressive behind the wheel or behind the handlebars or whatever vehicle you're in charge of. Hook up the tank vent. So right now, carburetor's on, secured, got the fuel line, got the VOES hooked up, got the choke routed to the back, ignition timing's good, got the carburetor all cleaned out, got the idle air fuel mixture turned in to lean it out because the spark plugs were very sooted up and oily. We've got new battery cables. That was the cause of the problem for the starter motor early on in the Sportster problem series. We've got a good battery, good leads, coil, spark plugs are new, iridium spark plugs. Got a new ignition switch. Got a new CDI unit. The CDI unit is in a electrostatic bag. Got a new starter motor relay switch, a new starter motor. I think I mentioned before that the spark plug leads, coil are all new. The generator's good. We've got a new regulator rectifier. The oil's new in the transmission and the engine. We've got an engine oil filter. A new engine oil filter. We've got a new rotor pickup, sometimes called the ignition pickup module. I don't think I've left too much out of that. What I'll do now is check the bike right over and we'll go for a cold start. I don't know whether I mentioned it before, but the timing has just been done. The engine timing or ignition timing. The VOES has been tested and it's good. Okay, I'll turn on the keys and test the lights. We've got front headlights, left hand blinker, right hand blinker. Check the dashboard. We're not showing a direction for the left hand indicator. Okay, that's well and good because you can see the indicators, and that's not any sort of electrical problem. It's just probably a bulb or a lead. Okay, so I've got a battery gauge here. That's showing around about 12 volts. When we turn on the ignition, no warning lights come on, just a neutral light. The throttle works well, good snapback. Engine oil's good. Okay, let's turn the fuel line on, and we can see that we've got fuel flowing to the carburetor. Remember a few videos ago that no fuel would flow into the carburetor unless the engine was running. Well, this disputes that because the engine's not running and that didn't have any fuel in it, and it's got fuel in it now. Okay, so we'll go for a cold start. There should be some backfiring while it's cold. I'll use the choke and we'll see how we go. Okay, well that sounds a lot better. Okay, rear brake light test. Front brakes, rear brakes. Looking at the tachometer, I see 2670267, 267,267 kilometers. Now, I'm not sure if that's right. I'll keep my eye on it and I'll keep you informed. The previous owner changed the engine. That means that that original CDI had done 267,000, possibly. I don't know, I'm not sure. I'll see if the tachometer is working. This is the bike when I first got it. This is going back close to 2 years ago. Now I've just done an oil change, and just to prove that the bike was running before it broke down, I'll just press play.